Split fiction. Why co-op still creates stronger memories than any system. In split fiction arrived with a heavy legacy on its shoulders. After the massive success of It Takes Two, expectations were dangerously high. Another co-op game from the same studio could have easily felt repetitive, safe, or overly familiar. Instead, split fiction became something else entirely. Not just a successful follow-up, but a reminder of why cooperative games still matter in a medium increasingly built around solo progression and live service systems. With over 100,000 overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam, the response is clear. Players didn't just like split fiction, they connected with it. A game that only works if you trust someone. This split fiction is unapologetically cooperative. It doesn't tolerate passive players, and it doesn't allow one person to carry the experience alone. Every mechanic assumes communication. Every puzzle demands coordination. Every moment asks both players to participate fully. This design choice immediately filters the audience. Split fiction is not about accessibility in the traditional sense. It's about commitment. If you're not willing to collaborate, the game simply doesn't move forward. That friction is intentional, and it's one of the reasons the experience feels so personal. Creativity as momentum. One of the most common reactions in player reviews is exhaustion, not from boredom but from constant surprise. Split fiction never settles into a rhythm for too long. Just as players begin to master one mechanic, the game discards it and replaces it with something entirely new. Third-person action, side-scrolling platforming, puzzle sequences, perspective shifts, genre blending. The game treats mechanics like ideas, not systems. They exist to serve a moment, then disappear. This constant reinvention creates momentum. Players don't ask what's next, because the game answers before the question fully forms. Spectacle with purpose. Split fiction is visually extravagant, but not aimlessly so. Its worlds feel like showcases of imagination rather than technical flexing. Each environment exists to surprise, to overwhelm, and to reframe how players interact with each other. Many reviews describe moments where players stopped progressing simply to take screenshots, laugh, or process what the game had just thrown at them. That pause matters. It signals emotional engagement, not just mechanical satisfaction. The spectacle is not decoration, it's communication. Why co-op hits harder than solo play. Recurring theme across reviews is memory. Players don't just talk about levels or mechanics, they talk about who they played with. Partners, friends, spouses, best friends. Split fiction doesn't just create gameplay moments, it creates shared experiences. Failures become jokes. Successes become celebrations. Emotional beats land harder because they're witnessed together. This is something no progression system can replicate. You don't remember unlocking an ability years later. You remember laughing, struggling, and succeeding with someone else. The limits of storytelling. Not all feedback is uncritical. Even among positive reviews, players often point out that the story is the weakest element. Characters can feel predictable. Emotional beats sometimes try too hard to land, and yet the story rarely damages the experience. The emotional cord doesn't come from the script, it comes from participation. From doing things together, not being told what to feel. The narrative exists as framing. The real story is the cooperation itself. A game that respects its audience. Split fiction doesn't waste time. There's no grind, no filler progression, no artificial padding. The game moves forward with confidence, assuming players are here for the experience, not the reward structure. That respect is felt. Players describe finishing the game tired, emotionally drained, and deeply satisfied. Not because the game demanded endless hours, but because it gave everything it had while it lasted. Why split fiction works? Split fiction succeeds because it understands something many modern games forget. Depth is not always about complexity, engagement is not always about retention, and innovation does not require permanence. Sometimes the strongest experiences are finite, designed to be shared, remembered, not optimized. Split fiction doesn't try to replace its predecessor, it builds on its philosophy and pushes it further. It proves that co-op games still have unmatched emotional power, not because of systems, but because of people, and that's why players aren't just recommending it, they're thanking it.